Hello again, Chris Lee and Chase Robinson of Southeastern 16 here, set to talk about Tennessee in its opener with Chattanooga, August 31st. And let's be a little realistic here. The Vols are, 43-ish point favorites, Chase, as we're looking at various lines over Chattanooga. So I think we're going to be realistic about limiting our powers of observation and meaning. As we do these, we'll tailor sort of these predictions and things to watch accordingly. But first, Chase, tell folks who is sponsoring our content today, please.
That's right. Betonline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything online sports betting. Right now, you can receive a 50% free bet of up to $250 on your first deposit to bet on anything from UFC to baseball to Formula One racing. BetOnline has every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads while the games are being played. When the game's over, you can go to the online casino, get in on a game of blackjack or poker, or unwind with one of the over 150 slots games. Head over to the website today to get in on the action. Use promo code BELIEVE, BLEAV, for your 50% free bet credit on your first deposit up to $250. That is promo code BELIEVE, BLEAV. Bet online, the game starts here.
Chase, we'll get it started with you. I'll let you make your first thing you're watching, then I'll take the last two. But I think I know what your big thing is, but let the audience know.
Yeah, I mean, all the talk, all the hype around Tennessee this year, I feel like starts with our quarterback, Nico Iamaleava. It's his time. It's his time to shine. It's his year. We saw him in the Citrus Bowl game, and in that win over Iowa. He was 12 of 19 passing, 151 yards and a touchdown, and then he ran for 3 touchdowns as well. He rushed for 51 yards. He was sacked a few times. So we saw some really bright spots from him in that Citrus Bowl game. But obviously, there's things to work on for him. You know, he's a younger quarterback. Great talent, but, hey, how is he going to fit into the offense? Is he going to get Tennessee back to where they want to be and where they think they're going to be with him? I think that's the biggest question for me. What is this offense going to look like with Nico Iamaleava leading it at quarterback? I mean, are we going to see, like we did a couple of years ago, that 2022 season where, the numbers were amazing of what we were seeing from that quarterback position. Joe Milton takes over last year, and we didn't quite see that. We didn't quite live up to the hype for Tennessee, and so they really want to get back to what they saw in 2022. Is Iamaleava the guy? I think that's the biggest question, but so much hype around him in the offseason, and he finally gets his starting job at Tennessee. How does he fit with Josh Heupel? I think it's going to be a good year for Tennessee with all indications of what we've been seeing out of fall camp and what we saw in the spring. But my biggest question, again, is does Iamaleava live up to the hype, and what does this offense look like with him at the helm?
Chase, I think I would kind of put an asterisk next to your selection here. I think, and you're going to be agreeing with me. I think the real thing we're wondering is what does it look like in week 2 against NC State? Yeah, because it's been kind of a bipolar schedule that he's gotten in his first 2 starts, right? Like Chattanooga, nobody expects us to be close beyond probably the second quarter. He's probably going to be sitting the bench most of the second half as he gets ready for that one. And his first chance, of course, was in a bowl game, which bowl games are weird anyway with opt-outs and everything. And then he also played maybe, one of the best 2 or 3 defenses in the country in Iowa. So, we've got to see him in one really tough, weird situation. Now we get to see him in one what everybody thinks Tennessee's going to roll. But what we're really looking forward to is next week following this one. So I think just kind of going to be an interesting set of circumstances here in his first 2 games because it's two very different situations.
Right, and very much so. And I think in this first game you get to come out and find an identity of some sort. Like you get to start the game, you get to control the game, you get to kind of set the tone for the year. And I think that's what I'm looking to see how he does that in this first game when, I think there will be a lot of points on the board for Tennessee in this game. There's no doubt. But he kind of gets to set the tone, I feel like, in this opening game.
Number 2, and look, Josh Heupel has had a history of when Tennessee's a big favorite, they just seem to steamroll anybody and everybody in Tennessee's way. And so I think that's what's going to happen here. But You might see a guy that I don't think he'll probably end up starting the year because they've got Brew McCoy, Chris Brazzell, Squirrel White is presumably their starters. Dante Thornton's there. But I think Mike Matthews was the guy that when Tennessee signed Mike Matthews, people were super excited. Supposed to be one of the best freshmen in the country. I would think Mike Matthews would get a decent target share in this first game unless for some reason Tennessee wants to, I guess, hide him, which I don't know if there's any hiding a 5-star recruit, but,
Yeah.
maybe at least people don't know if it translates the way that it should. But anyway, I just think I want to see what it looks like out of the wrapper with Mike Matthews, and I know a lot of Tennessee fans feel that way too.
Yeah, and I think that's something good to see. But yeah, it's hard to hide a guy when you know potentially what he could produce as a 5-star guy. But I think he's going to fit nicely into this, and I think we should see a lot of him. This could be a day that he shines playing against a team like Chattanooga. So I hope we get to see a little bit of him.
Final story, we've focused all on offense. This is what people do when it's Tennessee. But, hey, the Vols do have maybe the best player in the conference, something maybe the best in the country up front in James Pierce Jr., the stud pass rusher. But my focus isn't really on Pierce, Chase. It's going to be kind of that new-look secondary for Tennessee. A lot of Vols in that secondary. And it wasn't a great secondary, but it wasn't bad. They've either hit the portal for other places. Gabe Judy Lawley, saw him the other night playing exhibition game with our hometown Titans here, my hometown Titans. So a lot of those guys that were familiar faces in Tennessee's secondary now gone. You look at that left corner spot, Jermod McCoy, the transfer from Oregon State, who was pretty good for them as, I think, a true freshman last year. Not a very hyped guy to high school, but had a couple of picks, had 7 breakups, started 5 times for Oregon State. Jalen McMurray, the Temple transfer, I guess going to be his backup. The other corner, Rickey Gibson III, was a backup last year. Presumably he'll start. Jourdan Thomas, I guess the new starter at the star position. And then Andre Turrentine, I guess one of the most experienced guys back in the secondary at safety. He played 11 games a year ago, but mostly was a part-timer, I think. And then Jakobe Thomas, the star transfer safety from MTSU. That is a lot of new. Either guys that are still on the roster from last year that are going to be asked to play in bigger roles, or particularly those 3 transfers. And so, and you could see like Abu Carter or somebody in there too, getting a bigger role. Don't know how the depth chart's going to shake out. We're doing this mid-August, but I think I want to see. You would expect that this wouldn't really be a challenge for Tennessee secondary. You would think that just getting off a pass with that front 7 going to be a challenge. But when the ball's in the air, I want to see how those guys do.
Yeah, and even in a game like this, I mean, this is game reps for these guys. And, yeah, this may be the most worrisome position on the field for Tennessee, the secondary, just with so much new and so many things to figure out. So, yeah, in a game like this, I feel like even against a team who you're not going to see flashy yards and big numbers in this game, but this defense has a chance to get some game reps under their belt to play, to get some continuity on the field. So, yeah, I think this is a good game for them to be able to kind of gauge where they're at this point. Again, because you look ahead to a game like North Carolina State, where it's going to be much different than what we're seeing in this Chattanooga game, like we talked about earlier with the offense. So this game, you get ready for what's to come the rest of the way.
Yeah. We will have you covered on the Vols and the other 15 SEC teams this year. We do it year-round, literally year-round, football, baseball, basketball, all 3 sports year-round. Best way to get our content, hit that subscribe button wherever you are, whether that's YouTube or your podcast feed. Hit the like button if you're on YouTube. That helps our analytics. And tell a friend. Also, if you're interested in advertising, we reach millions of people a year through all of our programming. So reach out to caroline.smith@southeastern14.com for more information. For Chase Robinson, I am Chris Lee. We are Southeastern 16, presented by Betonline.